All right, welcome back. This is part 2 of 2 for the C.R.A.A.P. Presentation on web resources. So let's get started. Not there. The next letter in the acronym we are looking at is accuracy. And when we talk about accuracy, there's a couple levels to accuracy. One is that simply that it's well written. There's not obvious grammatical errors. It does not have to be necessarily like, perfect, but it should be edited and pretty well. If you start noticing errors in it, that is definitely a red flag for a source that's a little sketchy. The other thing with accuracy is that when you look something up, that it's found from multiple sources. This is not just the one and only source that is reporting something and nobody else is covering this one topic. That is extremely sketchy looking as far as the source goes. And of course, you have to worry about sort of false news or sort of fake news websites, and that can be extremely problematic. An example of this one here, accuracy, we have Empire Sports. They're telling us that Colorado Rockies baseball team to sell marijuana brownies at their concession stands. This is a completely made up story. The idea is they're connecting Colorado with marijuana, and they're saying that these are going to be available. What I think makes this site most interesting, though, aside from the article and the fact that you could easily check this by Googling it and seeing that it's not true, that it's a fake story. But you can also notice the emblem up here. There's a little bit of a trick going on where you're going to see this and be like, oh, look, that looks like ESPN. And then you might share this story or you'll put it on Facebook, and then they get more clicks because people are visiting the site. And that's kind of the purpose for a site like this. So be wary of a source or information or something you find in your topic where you can only find it one place and nobody else mentions it, or it's not backed up by anybody else. You may have found some kind of outlier that's really not going to help you defend your argument. I'll take another example here, saveourstreamspa.org. This is a self-made site. And not to be overcritical of it, I'm sure this was a passion project for someone. But if you do read through this, and this is a site about fracking and some of the impacts of fracking, and it's certainly one-sided, that's for sure. But if we were to begin to read it, you start to see some of those composition errors. You see some of those writing errors that might make you think like, oh, somebody just made this website. And anybody can make a .org. Anybody can make a .net. Anybody can make a .com. You can buy those easily for about $15. If you have ever been told by one of your teachers that, okay, we're going to use anything from a .gov, a .org, or a .edu, that is not good advice. And please don't follow that. The .orgs can be bought. They're supposed to be organizations, but they're not always. And a lot of organizations have very clear agendas. They're very biased one way or another. .govs can have political statements on them. They can be reliable. It can be very reliable. You can find great stats at .govs. And the problem with .edus is you can find a lot of student work at .edus, stuff written by someone who's maybe only a year older than you and has no more insight than you do. You want to really check to make sure that whoever is writing your article has authority, and that's where we really get to checking that the background for the source is good. And so what we're looking for in authority, and here's an example. We're looking for someone who is educated in the field they're writing about, not just educated, but also in the field they're writing about. Make sure that, you don't want someone with a PhD in quantum physics talking to you, about something that's completely unrelated. That does not make them necessarily a professional in that field. Here we have an example of a website. It's pretty good. Elsevier is known for journal articles, so that's a good sign. He's a PhD. We can read his history here. I can Google his name very quickly, and it's something I really recommend that you do with your sources. If you're not sure if you have a good source, go and Google the writer's name. If what comes up is published journal articles, published books, information about them working in the field. And in this case, if we do look up this individual, it says here he's a professor in the Department of Geography of Royal Holloway at the University of London. It turns out I actually did research him. He actually ends up, he currently now is the head of the department there. So he's even been promoted past this point. That's all good news. It also, if we were to skim this article, we see right away that there's some, he tries to lay out some of the different arguments, the pros and the cons of fracking, and takes sort of an academic tone with his writing. We'll jump back to authority. Okay, so then let's take one that is questionable. This one is tough because it's not quite as obvious. Should college athletes be paid? Again, another possible topic for some of you. We see this is written by Tiffany Patterson, and we'll click on that in just a little bit. Not terribly outdated. At least the article's been around longer than that, but at least it's been edited or updated in 2019. But it's from a website that's called C.R.A.A.P. And that in and of itself might be a problem for our works cited page. It's a little too casual. And if I scroll down here and start to look, there may be some good points that are made. We see that the pro, and then, and again, con, we get different perspectives, kind of a synopsis. We see that Tiffany Patterson is a BA in political science from Temple and an MBA from LaSalle University. She's an expert on topics. We could certainly try to verify this information about her, but essentially what we have here is we have a website, and this is a blog. And so Tiffany Patterson is, as it turns out, kind of a professional blog writer, and she does a lot of writing online, but it doesn't necessarily make her an expert. This is a little problematic. You could use it, but you could also have someone question it and be like, hey, this isn't really academic. This is more for like popular culture or popular reading rather than academic or research reading. And it does kind of run the line. It's something that, depending on your professor, depending on what you're sort of going for your paper, you'd have to sort of pause at and look and decide, am I going to use that or am I not going to use that? Or would my teacher or professor be okay with that or not be okay with that? And I think for this course, you'd be fine. But if you get into upper level college courses, there may be a problem with this article. As I said, just based on the fact that it's more for popular reading rather than like research reading. And we'll go then to an example that's an absolute no. And that is a website, eNotes. This is sort of like where you have a website that's designed explicitly to allow you to take shortcuts and to not do your research yourself, and it's supposed to put everything all together for you. SparkNotes is the same. Some of these other ones that are out there, these are not things we want to see that a teacher or professor is going to want to see on your works cited page. These are bad sources, and they jump right off of the works cited page. They're easy to notice a lot of times. And you can see they generally don't have an author. They're generally written by a company or something along those lines. And they can be kind of vague or unclear. Even if they are well written, there's no clear place from where their sources are coming from. There's a lot there. You can have a lot of problems with these types of sources. All right, so that's authority. We have one more here with purpose. So when we talk about the purpose of a website, we're talking about sort of the reason why it exists. Typically, the purpose for a website will be to either make money, to entertain, or to inform you. Those are at least three of the most common. I would also say that sometimes we have websites or articles that are written to be shared or to be liked or to be clicked on. And that's partly to make money. I think it falls under that category, but you see a lot of that also. So if we take a look at these two websites, the first question we should sort of be asking ourselves is, why does this exist? What is its purpose? And foodandwaterwatch.org, what's interesting about this site isn't necessarily that it's a terrible site. It's just that we need to know right away that they are coming at this issue from one side. It is a biased perspective. Fracking is an unsafe process that harms our drinking water and health. The push for fracking hurts communities and worsens climate change, but we can stop fracking. They're making their argument very clear right from the top. Now the problem is that some websites won't do that. So if I'm writing a paper, I'm going to know that I'm using sort of a biased source here. Some websites may hide that from you, or you may have to figure that out yourself. And a good one here is Monsanto. So what you don't know, if you don't know who Monsanto is, or you've never heard the name before, they are known for, I can't seem to get into this. Creating or making GMAs. And this idea here of these growth, let me see if I can get, there we go. The idea of the genetically modified foods is important to their bottom line as a company. And so here we have this article, plant biotechnology companies launch GMO answers. But we have this article about GMOs on a site from a company that is directly connected. Their profit is directly connected to making sure that the GMOs are bought and used and consumed by people. So that puts it into a category that should make us question using it. So if we take a look at the currency, the relevancy, the accuracy, the authority, and purpose, if you go to a website and you find a website source and you can identify these things, you do a check for them, you make sure that it's not too old, that it really is about your topic, it's not too hard, not too easy, that the information matches with other sites, or at least isn't something out there, outlandish, totally controversial, that is written by somebody or a group or a couple of people who are trustworthy, who have background in the field, and that its purpose is to inform you, that it exists there so that you can learn more about the topic, then you'll be much more likely to have a source that you can use and will help your paper be better and give you a better argument in the long run. So thank you very much, and good luck with your papers, and I hope to see you soon.